Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to change the water pump on a 651 Mercedes engine. Now, unlike a lot of the videos that are on there where they're just changing the front pipe, I've elected to replace the whole assembly because there's some questions about these and issues, and Mercedes said it was modified. So this is held on with 4 bolts that are here and 4 pipes. So what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is remove the serpentine belt. Now, I've took photos and made a note of where the belt goes. I'm not planning to change the belt, but you can do at this stage if you want. And it's probably going to bite me on the backside, and I'm probably going to have to change the belt in a couple of weeks' time. But at this point in time, that's all I'm going to do. Well, I think that's pretty conclusive that that's the water pump leaking. When we look here, is the water pump. There's a pulley here. Just underneath that is a stub. I'm going to just stick you down inside here, and we're going to put a 17mm socket on there, and that allows us to take the tension off the belt, and then we're going to remove the belt. I'm not going to show you me doing that because I need both hands. When we look at this, there's a thin pipe here that we've got to take off. There's a pipe here, and down here is this pipe here and one going to the radiator that all need disconnecting. So let's start with this one over here to the right. I've got this tool here that I bought off a well-known website that literally goes over these horrible clips and allows you to move them out of the way. This one's underneath here. Okay, let me show you. So when we look at the clip is underneath here. So I'm going to take that out, and then I'm going to pull out the metal circlip off the other one. What I do want to mention is I've took the top off the engine and that hose off first, and the cover off here when I was diagnosing what was wrong with the car. So I've just got them in the boot, so I'll put them back on after. So this clip here that's underneath here, ultimately I'm going to have to resort to using a pair of side cutters on their side to take that clip off because it's incredibly awkward. What I've done here with this pipe, this one that's here, is I've took the clip off. Now that will allow me to be able to just literally grab the pipe, give it a wiggle and pull it out, and as you can see, that's now free. Next one I'm going to take off is this little one up the top here. I've not been able to get this one off, so what I'm hoping is when I take the water pump out, I can move it around a bit. Let's see what happens. So as you can see here, this is the little vacuum hose, and it just works its way off. So that is now removed. So I'm now going to take the fixings out around the outside that hold this to the block. This is one here, one here, one here and one here, and I'll tell you what size we need in a second when I found out. Right, so the 4 bolts are E14s. I'm now going to go ahead and take those bolts out. There's 4 bolts here. They're not very tight, so my gut feeling is these are going to need torquing back in. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're taking absolutely no pressure to come undone. I'm now just going to put my socket on an extension and just use it to undo the nuts and take the nuts out. 1, 2, to they are kind of captive, but I'm just taking them out so they're out of my way. So I'd hope now, with a little bit of wiggle jiggle, the water pump will come out. Okay, it appears I've missed a fixing. Yeah. Down here, that bracket there, that's holding the water pump in place. So we'll take that off next. So the bracket's held on with an 8mm socket down here. So I'm just going to remove that bracket from here. Right, so I've took the top bolt out there, loosened the bottom one, which has now let this whole assembly move. And I'm hoping now that I can get to this clip here and get that off. Now this is free, I've been able to turn it round and get the clip off. So there comes the pipe out and the assembly. As we can see, this assembly is made out of plastic, the new one's made out of metal. And the water pump's noisy. So what I want to do now is just compare them. And what I can actually see is this little plastic thing here needs transferring to here. So I've got to go and find a suitable spanner and transfer that over. There's the clip that we've removed off the other one. As you can see, it comes on there with a new part. And that's where the water feed is in the engine. So I'm just going to give that a quick clean over and we can reassemble it. So 13mm spanner does this. Just take it off with my hands and we'll come over here and back into there. And just hit that back up by hand. You can see that was, if you look at the old water pump under here, you can see where it's been leaking from, and you can hear the bearings are at their face. So that goes in the bin. The next thing I'm going to do, just to make my life a little bit easier, is I'm just putting on these flanges just the tiniest little bit of washing up liquid, and the same on this here, just to make everything go together a bit easier. Okay, so I'm going to pass it back in place. I'm going to put this pipe on first and then do the bolts up before we attempt to do that up there. So I'm going to sort of show you in stages rather than trying to video everything. Came out of here. Okay, so we want to make sure that this hose goes back onto here as it goes in. That's it. See, that all of a sudden just went on, and then I can start to line up. I'm going to put this top right hand screw in here, then the bottom left hand screw, and the rest have all just gone in. Okay. And make sure they've all started before doing anything else. Yeah, they've all started. I'm going to use a socket on the end of an extension just to hand tighten everything. Okay, that's going to hold that in place. Now we can see that this pipe is now correctly in place. It's sat back here. That leaves us two remaining pipes to connect up the bracket. And I think I'm going to put the bracket on first because the pipes are out the way, and then put the pipe on. So Here's the bracket bolt. The bracket is loose at the top and the bottom at the moment. So that's in, and I'm just going to bite them up now. Putting these back up. Just going to hold my hand at the top of the ratchet, limiting the amount of pressure that I can put on anything. And the same here. Okay, so that's gone in. The next thing we do is put this hose in here. This one literally just goes click like that. You see that? Easy peasy. And then this one has got this horrible clip on that we all love to hate. Was incredibly awkward to work with where Mercedes have positioned it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn it round half a turn so that I can try and get to it, I think. So there's the pipe going on, but you see I just can't get, oh I can, okay I've got it on its side. Okay, that's not quite on, it needs, the clip needs to go back a bit further, there it is. So okay, that's on. Next up we know the clip at the front here. So tuck this tool onto here. Leave it round a little. I'm going to go back for another bite at the cherry, and job done. Finally, I want to make sure that the water pump is tight, so I'm just going to use a ratchet and just nip them off. And I'm going to go round again in a second. Okay, so let's tighten them now. I'm going to put my hand about half the way down the ratchet, and that's the torque I'm going for because I cannot find a torque setting for these bolts. Again, tighten it off. They weren't that tight when I took them off, so it's not a competition. And finally, we need to put this vacuum hose back in place here. I believe my understanding is that this is what turns the water pump on and off at different temperatures. Come on. On you go. There we go. So the last job, other than putting water in, is to put the belt back on. So to put the belt back on, I've got this little picture I've got off the internet showing me what route the belt needs to go. So I'm going to get that tension round. It may or may not video, it looks quite difficult to achieve. So let's hold the camera about there and see what we can do. So off the top of the alternator, onto the top of the water pump, bottom of the alternator makes it a loop. Okay, so that gives me a loop here. Now that everything else is in situ, that's got to go around the tensioner. As we saw before, the tensioner has got a big nut underneath here that we need to put the ratchet into tighten direction. That removes the tension now. At this point in time, okay, so the problem I've got is the belt's not quite seated in a couple of places. As a result, I didn't have enough slack. I'm just going around it, making sure that everywhere One of the big culprits is the alternator pipe. Okay, I've just got more slack out to get my everything back onto the pulleys properly. Now I've done that, there we go. Now I've not got water in the car, but I'm just going to spin it over and make sure it doesn't throw the belt up. Right, so we've got all the belts on. Final job is to put some coolant in here. This is 25% concentrated antifreeze, 75% water. I've made it rich because the last time I topped this up, I put half a gallon of water in it without antifreeze. So I want to make sure that there's plenty of antifreeze in the system. Now, the big thing I'm going to say about this job is this has been done using just a socket set, and it's took an hour. The part was 200 quid from Mercedes. It's a genuine part, not a factored part, and like any parts that you buy from these from Merck, they just go on without any issues. So finally, let's put some water in this. I've got 5 litres of coolant here. Just over 5 quarts, isn't it, for the Americans? I think, I don't know, because they're quarts a litre, roughly. Keep topping it up, and it's swallowing the water. Once it stops taking water down, which it will do in a second, what it's doing is as it goes all the way up to the top, the water's going down the thin pipe into the top of the radiator, etc. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just start this thing up. So that's swallowed 5 litres of coolant. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some more in this barrel and just keep 5 litres of coolant in the car, because what it'll do as I drive it is it'll burp the air out. You know, I'll probably just go and run it up and down the motorway or something just to get that cleared. I'm going to put the air intake hose on it, put the cover back on the front, which just pushes back on. If you can get me the cover, we can put that back on. So the cover is just held on. It goes in the bottom here in a couple of little bungies and gets caught on the hose. Can you hold that, please? Just there. So I'm just going to jiggle it round, and that's it. That's the front back on the engine. Amazingly easy job, to be quite honest. And the only reason I've not put this trim back on here is one of my next jobs with this car is to replace the front bumper because unfortunately somebody ran into it. So I've got a bumper and I've got a wing and a door for it that'll be in another video. Thanks for watching. I hope this has helped you and inspired you and given you the confidence to repair your own vehicle. This was a very, very easy repair, and like I say, it took under an hour. Yes, the part was £200. You can buy a factored water pump for it for about 60 quid, but it doesn't come with the casting at the back, and Mercedes recommend you change it. The same as when you do the oil cooler under here. Again, that's a modified part, and when I did this, I put a Mercedes part on this car. Okay, please subscribe, etc., and thank you for watching.